Everyone, my name is Ana Martha Ayala, and I'd like to welcome you to my YouTube channel. As a reminder, I do every video in English and Spanish, and the degree theory is based on modern Western astrology using the Placidus house system. In today's video, I wanted to speak to you about Jupiter in Leo, but from a mundane level. I already did a video by Ascendant for personal charts, so you can refer to that video on my channel. Just, search for it. But I wanted to share with you this cool website that I found that lists major worldwide events that happen for a specific year by month. So what I did is I looked up when Jupiter was in Leo and downloaded the information. It gave me 48 pages. So then I narrowed it down by the exact time that Jupiter was in Leo, and I picked out what I thought were like the most important events, right? And I will share with you these events. I narrowed it down to only 10 pages, right? So it's much reduced. But what I wanted to say was I looked for recurring themes. So then, from those recurring themes, then we can potentially make a prediction, right? Now, having said that, I am not a mundane astrologer. So I am venturing out on this branch of astrology to see, how it goes, right? It takes a lot of time and effort to go through all this historical events, right? And also, I wanted to say that not every transit, in this case, Jupiter in Leo, is going to result in the same exact thing happening. But we look for recurring themes, okay? So let me share with you. Share. Yeah, there we go. Here we go. This is the website that I found, and it is eventshistory.com, history by year. So, for example, I went back 50 years, basically. I went back to 1966, actually 60 years, which was the first time, well, as far back as Jupiter being in Leo, right? And then these are the historical events that came up that were the most, I guess, relevant or famous or whatever. So then I downloaded it, and then I applied, um, the how do you call it, the dates of Jupiter and Leo. And then, okay, so let me stop share, and now I will share again. Um, and this is the list that I came up with. So the first Jupiter in Leo that I looked at was from September 27th. Let me get this thing down. Okay. From September 27th, 1966 to June 14th, 1968. So we have on October 5th, we had a partial core meltdown of a nuclear reactor in Detroit, Michigan. And the Vietnam War was going on, right? There was the Binh Thai massacre. There was another Dien Ninh, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that massacre. The Cuban Adjustment Act. And Cuba comes into the picture because the Cuban War of Independence back in I think it was 1896 to 1898, Jupiter was in Leo. So I'm going to do another video on Cuba because I've been promising my father's sister, in other words, an aunt of mine who lives in Cuba, because she's desperate to find out when communism is going to be over in Cuba. But Jupiter in Leo is one of these events. And then way back then, we had the South Node also in Leo. Like the nodes coincide back in 1896, 1898, and now we're having for the first, excuse me, for the first couple of months, the nodes are also going to be, they're going to be conjunct Jupiter. So this is going to be very, very interesting. There's, okay, so the Vietnam War, and I made a list of things that, the common themes, right? A lot of wars, a lot of massacres. Israel and the Middle East is on point. I mean, it is there. So we could see, for example, the Vietnam War. Suharto takes over from Sukarno for acting president of Indonesia. This person here, which I'm not even going to try to pronounce, the president of Togo, installs himself as the new president. This is another massacre. Egypt closes the Strait of Tiran and blockades the port of Eilat at the northern end of the Gulf of Aqaba to Israeli shipping. So how interesting that now it's the Strait of Hormuz. And back in what was this? 1967, Egypt closed the Strait of Tiran. All right, so Egypt imposes a blockade and siege of the Red Sea coast of Israel. There's a Nigerian civil war. There is a 6-day war with Israel. Israel launches surprise strikes against Egyptian airfields in response to mobilization of Egyptian forces on the Israeli border. The 6-day war, Israel soldiers entered Jerusalem. There is the USS Liberty incident. Now, if you guys are not familiar with this was a false flag. It is said by very few surviving military personnel that Israel was the one that attacked the USS Liberty, but it made it look like somebody else did. So we can see another false flag event happen, potentially. So Israel enters Hebron and the Cave of Patriarchs. Israel captures the Golan Heights from Syria. Israel and Syria agreed to a ceasefire. So Israel is in the picture, right? The Cold War. So the Cold War was the U.S. with the Soviet Union. Israel annexes East Jerusalem. So here we go. Israel is attacking all the neighbors and is also going for a land grab. So if we put it in today's perspective, we can see Gaza as being potentially taken over by the Israelis, or even part of Lebanon. Like at least from historical events, this is a potential thing. Now, the Aden emergency, the Battle of Crater, and then this is in Yemen. The Nigerian Civil War. Omar Ali, I'm not going to pronounce that, puts his son as dictator or prince or king or something like that. In Cuba, related to Cuba, a guerrilla leader Che Guevara and his men are captured in Bolivia. Much to people's, I guess, misinformation or whatever, Che Guevara was not Cuban. Che Guevara was from Argentina. So he tried, and then on October 9th, a day after being captured, Marxist revolutionary Ernesto Che Guevara is executed for attempting to incite a revolution in in Bolivia. But he was Fidel Castro's right-hand person, right? So earthquakes. Look at this. On July 29th in 1967, the city of Caracas in Venezuela is shaken and leaving approximately 500 dead. So there was a major earthquake in Caracas, which is the capital of Venezuela. And here we go. It happened about, I think, like a couple of weeks ago. So the same theme, which is earthquakes. There are a lot of protests, riots. Okay, so here we go. Protests in West Berlin against the Shah of Iran turned into riots. In Newark, New Jersey, we have riots. In Detroit, riots. Michigan, one of the worst riots in history of the United States, begins on the 12th Street, predominantly African American inner city, ultimately killing 43 people and injuring 3. Okay, so protests against the Vietnam War. Iran is a center in 1967. Mohammad Reza Pahlavi coronation. It crowns himself as Emperor of Iran. Medical procedures having to do with the heart. It's the first heart transplant, okay? And this person was the first human heart transplant in the United States. In 1968, we have the Prague Spring in Czechoslovakia. In January 21st of 1968, an airplane, a military airplane, a B-12 bomber, I guess, crashes in the Toul Air Base with a nuclear payload. Now, one of the 4 bombs remains unaccounted, okay, after the cleanup. So again, we had a nuclear reactor, and now we have a plane crashing that there's 1 nuclear bomb missing. So North Korea, no, okay. Now, riots. Israel-Jordanian border clashes rage. Massacres. Fong Nich, and the other one is a massacre here. There was some kind of nerve gas testing in Skull Valley that left 6,000 sheep dead. The gold standard. The U.S. Congress repeals the requirement for gold reserved in U.S. dollar currency. So we might have something happen to the U.S. dollar, potentially. Now, 1968, of course, Martin Luther, the assassination of Martin Luther, and also the assassination of President Kennedy were 2 very marked historical events for 1968. Now, the second Jupiter in Leo that I looked at is from September 5th, 1978 to September 28th of 1979. Jonestown, Guyana. Jim Jones led his People's Temple to a mass murder suicide. So again, there's a massacre, there's a religious how do you call this? A religious following that leads to basically a massacre. We have the Sino-Vietnamese War, or the Third Indochina War, that started. Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, a last Iranian Shah, flees Iran with his family to relocate into Egypt, and then the Ayatollah Khomeini returns to Tehran, Iran, after nearly 15 years of exile. So here we go. The Islamic theocracy is established for Iran. The Sino-Vietnamese War begins. They had a very interesting, I guess, climate event, snowfall in the Sahara Desert. Okay, so that's a little weird. But April 1st, Iran becomes an Islamic republic. So you can see that Iran, back in 67 and now in 1978 is in the picture. And fast forward to 2026, Iran is having issues again, right? We're at war. The United States is at war. So here, the Ugandan dictator Idi Amin is deposed. Now, this is what I found super cool. Margaret Thatcher becomes the first female prime minister of the United Kingdom. And in another Leo, Jupiter in Leo, there's another woman that comes into power as well. Persian Jews or Iranian Jewish businessman is executed by firing squad in Tehran, prompting a mass exodus of 100,000 member strong Jewish community of Iran. We had the first black-led government of Rhodesia take power. The president of Iraq, called President Ahmed Hassan al Bakr, resigns and is replaced by Saddam Hussein. So Iran and Iraq are part of it. Now, get this, Nicaragua. Nicaraguan dictator General Anastasio Somoza resigns and flees to Miami, Florida. That that was interesting. That's when the influx of Nicaraguans came to Miami. I remember that. I was in school back then. Um, so anyway, there's issues with Nicaragua. Now, if you remember the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, I said that a lot of communist countries would basically, that's one of those, that aspect is historically linked to communism. I said that Venezuela, Cuba, I forgot about Nicaragua, so I'm sorry. But Nicaragua might also be one of the countries that has a change in leadership. Okay, another section of the Sinai Peninsula is peacefully returned to by Israel to Egypt. Okay, Afghanistan. So Afghanistan comes into the picture as well. The Chrysler Corporation asked the United States government for $1.5 billion to avoid bankruptcy. So maybe something is going to happen with the automotive industry, and I could see that happening because Uranus and Gemini, there's a change in cars, a change in transportation, a change. So, and when we do go to war, the automobile industry gets really, really hard, gets hit really, really hard. Now, Indonesia had a major earthquake, 8.1 Richter scale. President of Afghanistan is assassinated because there's a lot of assassinations, a lot of, like I said, leadership changes. Now, in 1990, now we're going to the third Jupiter in Leo that I looked at. August 18, 1990 through 9/11, 1991, we have Iraq decided to invade Kuwait. And eventually, this is the Gulf War. Uh, I I also remember this because I had high school friends of mine, well, college actually, um, that went to the Gulf War and went to Desert Storm as well. So anyway, um, there's more, massacres. 127 Muslims are killed by Sri Lanka by paramilitary troops. Saddam Hussein is also in the news. Iraq declares Kuwait to be the newest province. But then things change. So here, 1990, Batikola massacre, 184 minority Tamil people named as Sri Lanka. All right, so Germany becomes reunited. We have the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. So Israel, again, this is the third Jupiter in Leo, and Israel is in the news. So here comes the end of the Lebanese civil war. Syrian forces launch an attack on the free areas of Lebanon, removing this general. Rabbi Ner Kane, founder of the K movement, is assassinated in New York City in a hotel. Mary Robinson becomes the first woman to be elected president of Ireland. This is the other woman that takes a leadership role. We have Margaret Thatcher, we have Mary Robinson. So maybe for Iran, because Iran is going to have a change in leadership, period, right? Maybe they install a woman. Wouldn't that be like poetic, right? Like have a woman rule Iran. So that is a potential, right? Um, okay, Haikito is installed as a Japanese monarch here in Aramoana, New Zealand. David Gray shoots 13 people dead in a massacre. So here we go. Now, 1991, Georgian forces. We're talking about a new South Ossetia War. I'm sorry that I'm killing these pronunciations, but this is more towards the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union had a whole bunch of like Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania, Macedonia, all of these little countries get their independence. Here we go. Soviet Union trap Soviet Union troops, January events, Lithuania attack Lithuanian independence supporters. Um, this one, Said Barre is removed from power in Somalia, ending the centralized government succeeded by Ali Mahdi Mohammed. Okay. The Gulf War, a major engagement of the war, as well as the deadliest, begins. Nicaraguan Contras leader Enrique Bermúdez is assassinated in Managua, the capital of Nicaragua. So again, Nicaragua comes into play. We have the Rodney King incident in Los Angeles with police officers. And you could see that, and then the Gulf War ends. Okay, here we go. The United States Department of Justice announces Exxon has agreed to pay $1 billion for the cleanup of the Exxon Valdez oil spill in Alaska. So there were another Jupiter and Leo incidents, oil spill incidents. Okay. Now, here we go. Rita Johnson becomes the first premier of Canada. So we have another woman coming into power, which is ironic because Leo is a male sign, right? And yet we have three women that have come into power during a Jupiter in Leo transit. We also have, okay, here we go. Italian ferry ship collides with an oil tanker in a dense fog in Livorno, Italy. So there are oil spill potentials. It happens, how do you call this? The frequency, right? Like it's consistent. Israel conducts Operation Solomon, evacuating Ethiopian Jews to Israel. Cyclones. There's a lot of like natural disasters, earthquakes, cyclones. Um, let's see. Oil spills, natural disasters, volcano eruptions as well. So, because I made notes. Now, okay, here we go. This one, 1991 massacre in Sri Lanka. We have the Soviet Union occupation of Hungary ends. Croatia and Slovenia declare independence from the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia. Yugoslavia is not a country anymore. It got broken up. The Yugoslav War. That's another war. There's a lot of wars. And the Crown Heights riot. Black groups target Judaism, Hasidic Jews on the street of Crown Heights in New York. So New York could be, something going on. Look at this. Ukraine's declaration of independence from the Soviet Union, and yet Ukraine is, so maybe now Ukraine declares like the Ukraine and Russia war hopefully will end during this transit of Jupiter and Leo. See, Belarus gains its independence from Soviet Union. Um, what else? Moldova declares its independence from the Soviet Union. I won't pronounce this. Declares its independence from the Soviet Union. Uzbekistan declares its independence. The Soviet Union recognizes independence of the Baltic states, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. Macedonia becomes independent. Tajikistan declares independence. So the Soviet Union breaks up. So I wonder if the Soviet Union is going to have changes in its physical, like more territories broken up. Okay. So, and you guys can do more research. You see all of these things I went through, but what was interesting here, one of the things that I found very, very interesting is a federal grand jury in Texas indicts former Enron chief financial officer. Uh, if you guys don't know, Enron was a huge company that basically falsified its financial statements. This was a big huh in the accounting world. Um, and I think Arthur Anderson was their auditors, and this was a huge event because the company went bankrupt. So I had said in one of my videos that there could be a major corporation that there's either fraud or something financial, like something financially or fraud or something that happens that the company goes down, and it would be a leader in their industry. So here we go. Enron, uh, you know, was Jupiter and Leo as well. And you could see here, for example, the Chechen terrorists and 150 hostages die when Russian I can't pronounce that, I won't pronounce that, stormed into a theater in Moscow. So yeah. The Greek oil tanker Prestige splits in half and sinks off the coast of Galicia, Spain, releasing over 20 million US gallons of oil in the Prestige oil spill, largest environmental disaster in Spain and Portugal. So again, an oil spill is consistent. Suicide bombers is blow up Israeli-owned hotel Mombasa in Kenya. Now, another earthquake in Mexico. The invasion of Iraq, right there. Bengali Hindus declare independence. There's a lot of, again, change in powers, right? Um, a lot of assassinations. Here we go. Prime Minister of Serbia is uh, assassinated in Belgrade. The invasion of Iraq. So, an earthquake hits northern Algeria, killing more than 2,000 people. And let me see what else. A suicide attack on a bus in Jerusalem, Israel, planned by Hamas, kills 23 Israelis, seven of them children, in a bus bombing. All right, and then this is the last, we're coming to the conclusion. A 6.0 magnitude 2014 South Napa earthquake. So this is California. California can have an earthquake as well. So anyway, Maine, this gives you an idea of what Jupiter and Leo on a mundane level can give. So in summary, oh, and there were a lot of airplane crashes, but to me, airplanes crash, well, not that often, right? But there were a lot of airplane crashes, but I didn't think those were like very significant world events. But I did notice it. But anyway, you guys have the dates. If you want to go in and do your own research and learn a little bit more about history, go for it. So the themes that keep coming up are wars, changes in leadership, either by assassination or by just a coup, right? Just putting themselves as president or prime ministers or kings. All right, so there are massacres that happen. Israel is prime, they're always in the middle of things with Jupiter in Leo. A siege of the coast and the straits. We have Egypt, right? Back in the day, and now we have the Strait of Hormuz. So it's a recurring theme, earthquakes and major earthquakes, protests and riots because of war, right? Iran and Middle East conflicts, regime changes, assassinations, removals, coups, oil spills, natural disasters. There were a lot of cyclones and earthquakes, volcano eruptions as well, and of course, mass murders and suicides, and women taking power. We had three women come into power. Um, Margaret Thatcher, Mary Robinson, and then the lady from Canada. And then, of course, Nicaragua and Cuba are also part of the Jupiter and Leo. Russian territories breaking up. So that's the summary that I got from, I think, how long? I think it's like 10 pages. Yeah, 10 pages. So, so yeah. Originally it was 46 or 48 pages, so I narrowed it down just to the dates. Like I said, where Jupiter's in Leo. But it's a great that I think that website is phenomenal to do research on just anything that you want to do, not just astrology. But anyway, I hope that this video has been helpful. Now we know what pretty much historically has happened with Jupiter in Leo, so we can expect some of the things, like I said at the beginning of the video. Obviously, the placement of planets were different. Not every Jupiter in Leo has the same planetary placements as now, but you can get the themes that are coming up in every Jupiter in Leo. So, okay, I'm going to conclude the video. I hope that you found this interesting. Um, if so, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and send it to somebody else that might want to learn about what we might be facing. And we are already facing some of the issues that we see recurring. If you would like a chart reading with me, please send me an email to amaastrology@aol.com. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.